अरहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी राग ते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाए स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर चोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहत है। ओ मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। ओ मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। आत्मानुभूति और तत्व विचार. We were discussing this chapter last week and we were just at the end of that chapter, and the experience of the soul and the investigation of the elements. So the last thing that we were discussing, that to realize yourself, you need to have a very clear-cut understanding of the 7 fundamentals. These are purposeful elements, and by knowing these 7 fundamental elements very correctly, you can manifest right belief, samyak darshan. Okay. So, Gia, I made you a co-host. You can share the textbook.
Yes.
So the last paragraph that we discussed last week was about the 7 fundamentals. So I am soul, and everything else apart from soul for me is non-soul elements. Okay. The emotions, the disposition of attachments, aversions, and delusions are the cause of influx. And when we get entangled in those sentiments, then we affect bondage. Okay. So, Asrav Bandh. Now, by taking shelter in ourselves, okay, we can manifest right belief, and that is the time the stoppage of influx elements emerges. Okay. That is the time when delusion goes away. That is the time when the purity of the soul is manifested. And that purity goes on increasing as we practice more discriminative knowledge. Okay. So that purity keeps on increasing, and the increasing of the purity is dissociation of bondage. That is the cause of dissociation of bondage. And a time comes when all the impurities gets destroyed and all the purity gets manifested, and that is liberation. So these 7 fundamentals, by knowing the correct nature of each fundamental, we will be able to practice discriminative knowledge, and that's how right belief can be manifested. Then we also saw that among the 7 fundamentals, what is Gney, Hey, Upade, knowable, renounceable, and adaptable. Okay. These 3 also we last week we discussed about this. Somya answered it rightly, but then I made it more clear by getting the right words. So these are the, now one more thing is left, is the practical approach to right belief. Okay. So from the positive side, we can say that you have to take shelter in yourself, because that self soul is unchangeable. In all the conditions that we have been since time immortal, that self soul remains same all times. You know, we went to hell, we went to one sense being like Nigod, you know, and other one sensed births. Then we went to 2 cents, 3 cents. Whatever happened, but the soul remains the same. There are no changes in the original nature of the soul. And what is this original nature? The original nature of the soul is to know and see. It was an observer all the time. Okay. And now, if you want to manifest right belief, then you have to come back to your original nature. Your nature is to just know and see, nothing else. And we, because of ignorance, because of delusion, become doer of all the activities around us, whether it is our emotions, whether it is our body, whether it is our surroundings. We all have a belief since time immortal that we are doer of these things. And that is because of delusion. So as we read scriptures, Jinvani, okay, our wrong belief gets destroyed and correct belief sets in. And this delusion also melts gradually. And a time will come when all the delusions will be completely wiped out. And that is the time you manifest right belief, Samyak Darshan. Okay. Till then, it will be a work in progress. Okay. It takes some time. But once the process has started, there's going to be a result. And that is how all the Tirthankars and other monks who got liberated, that is the way they followed. And in between, some from that Tirthankar's divine sound, Gandhar was able to understand that, and he then taught other acharyas, and the other acharyas taught other following acharyas, and in this way the tradition has come to us. So the Jinvani is depicting the right picture of the soul. Okay. And we read this Jinvani and we also realize that this is true. Okay. So there are some decisions that you have to make by reading the scriptures, and the powerful, the decisions, the fruitful will be your spiritual journey. Very simple. It's not very complicated. Now, if you want to top in any field, you need to put in some efforts. And even in spite of putting in efforts, it is not necessary that everyone will become Sundar Pichai, right? Sundar Pichai was in India, in Chennai, I suppose, or any other place in South India. And the other class fellows were also there. But still, some of those fellows are still earning 5 lakhs annum, 5 lakhs per annum and whatnot, right? But he has rose to such a level that unimaginable, right? So because this is all or because of destiny. If the destiny will be there, you will get all the right contacts and you will make big in the corporate world. But here in religion, it is not like that. Whoever puts in an effort, according to Jinvani, he is going to get 100% result. There is no doubt about that. You know, our acharyas and all, they were very simple soul, ignorant soul. They never studied anywhere. And still they were able to manifest this right belief. They became monk and they got liberated. Okay. Now, talking about the current trend, like everything begins with Kunda Acharya Dev. You know, he was here 2000 years ago. And at that point of time, the spreading of Jainism was at its lowest level. It was about to get extinct. And because of Kunda Acharya Dev, it got a new life. He went to Mahavideshetra, and we are, of course, going to read Kunkun Acharya Dev in the next chapter itself. And he went there and listened to the sermons of Simandar Paramatma. And then he discussed with other Gandhars and Acharyas over there. And then he came back to India, Bharat Kshetra, and he wrote the 5 poems. प्रवचन सार, समय सार, niyam सार, panchastikay, अष्टपहौड़, and he defined everything. And then the tradition started, and then there were other acharyas. Uma Swami was his disciple, principal disciple, and then the tradition went on, and then Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev, after 1000 years of Kunkunda Acharya, he came and he, we can say, uh, whatever Kunkunda Acharya had, whatever hard work the Kunkunda Acharya had done, he gave it a new dimension with his commentaries and the kalash that he wrote on Samaysar, and he wrote Purshat Dupay, an independent text on Sravakachar, how a householder should behave, what should be his life, what should be his aspirations, how should it follow the path of liberation. Everything has been defined in Purshat Siddhi Upaya, which is a part of our syllabus. Maybe fourth, fifth sem we are going to start that. Not fifth sem, I think sixth sem, whatever it is. So we are going to study that scripture whole. The same Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev, who has written such a powerful commentary on Samaysar, Kunkunda Acharya Dev Samaysar, he only wrote this Shravakachar. So you need a right balance among the four exposition, and that is how your life will become blissful, happy in all situations, not only when there is a punya, but in the pap situation, when you are getting like a monk having upsarg and parisha. In those situations also the monk is able to maintain its passionlessness, and they never get sad, they are always happy. So this is just because of their teachings, because of their understanding of the fundamentals. So our syllabus is very less, 7 fundamentals very clearly, and then the application. So can anyone try that how 7 fundamentals, how the correct knowledge of 7 fundamentals leads to right belief? It's a bit challenging, but nevertheless, I would like all of you to try so that you will understand it better once you have tried, So whatever thoughts coming to your mind, you can share in the class. And then, of course, I will discuss the final thing. So whom should I start with? Arun, what is your idea?
Sorry, sir, I missed it. Idea about?
Idea about how the correct knowledge of 7 fundamentals leads to right belief. Samyak darshan, path of liberation. That is the beginning of the path of liberation. We all say, no, ki, what is the characteristic of right belief? The clear knowledge of 7 fundamentals. That is what is said in scriptures. So my question is, how practically, with this knowledge of correct knowledge of 7 fundamentals, you can manifest right belief? Roshni?
Okay.
Yeah, first, if you are trying, it's good. Otherwise,
No, I'll try later on, sir.
okay, no problem. I'm asking this question just because I know many of you don't know the answers, but I would like still to try so that when I tell you the correct thing, you connect to those concepts. Yeah, Roshni.
Sir, I'm not very sure about how to explain, but in my own life, what I try and think of is the example of a boat that there are people sitting in a boat, they're traveling from point A to point B. And then the boat gets a hole, so water starts entering. And then you can either just start removing the water from the boat, but nobody's covering the hole. So that is it. So that process is like Asrav and Band. And then somebody else will say, जो बुद्धिशाली होगा वो they will close the hole. They will try and cover the hole so that no more water enters in. And then once all the water gets out, then the boat is still on its path. And to me, I associate that with becoming vitragi. And that's my confusion, that for me, Samyak Darshan is about knowledge, but Vitragi is about charitra. So I always get confused, and that's where it doesn't sit well with me, and then I think we need both Samyak. We need Samyak Darshan and Samyak Charitra, but I don't know how to connect the two. So that's where I lose my way.
No problem. So nice of you to trying and expressing your thoughts. And these are the questions that, motivate us to go further deep. And everyone will be benefited by this kind of questions. But let's see how others are thinking, and then we will come to that discussion again. But nice try. Amita ji.
So I will say that ever since I started taking this class, whenever I am facing any challenges, I remind myself that I am Atma, and that no matter what is happening around me, is not going to compromise my true value as a soul, my inherent powers. That's how I've been using the knowledge.
Good try. My question is, how practically getting the knowledge of the 7 fundamentals right, we can manifest right belief, and what would be the practical way? That is my question. But anyway, good try. Anybody now? Hemali. Jia, you are next. Be prepared.
Good morning, sir. Sir, I think in the 7 fundamentals, we've learned that since time immemorial, we've been attaching ourselves to everything but the soul. So the first thing is that we have to realize that, I am nothing but the soul. So that helps us in practicing a lot of the things that take us to the path of right belief. For instance, we kind of the tattvas that in the 7 fundamentals of Acharya Uma Swamiji, they are the main tattvas, the rock solid foundation. So if we say that we are the soul and everything else around us is the non-soul, then very few things affect us. I mean, whether it is profit loss, our soul is not affected. Whether it is anger, greed, sadness, happiness, it doesn't affect our soul. At the same time, sir, the 7 fundamentals take us to the next level, which is non-soul, which, I just explained that everything else is non-soul, and um, uh, that kind of does not affect us. Then it is influx of karma and bondage. So they explain to us, sorry. They explain to us that only the soul is worth taking refuge into. Influx of karma is worth renouncing. Bondage is worth renouncing. And dissociation of bondage is also worth renouncing. And it is only liberation that is totally and fully and wholly worth manifesting.
Very good. Very good. I'm very inspired by your thinking, but we will take it further. Madhuji, sorry, Jia.
Yeah, yes, sir. I think my answer is somewhat similar to Himaliji's. Even I think that understanding the 7 fundamentals, you know what is worth renouncing, what is worth taking shelter in. And without the understanding of the seven fundamentals, one might not. I mean, it helps understand the cycle of bondages and how to release them. And without understanding that, one might not know how to tread on this path of liberation. So it helps in that sense.
Good, good, good. I appreciate your efforts. Pratibhaji, sorry, Madhuji.
Yes, sir. Jai Jinendra, everybody. So first of all, we have to understand the difference between Jeev and Ajeev.
Hmm.
And after that,
Hmm.
by understanding what is Jeev and Ajeev, we can stop the influx of wrong thoughts, and by great experience only that can happen. And since wrong thoughts coming into our mind, it further goes into bondage. And by the stoppage of such influx, we can disassociate ourselves from all these and then get liberated. But it is a very long process. So this is how we can liberate ourselves.
Good, good, good try. Pratibhaji.
Well, I'm going to try. I know a lot of things are pretty much already said. First, I mean, knowing all these seven fundamentals, first thing is like Jeev and Ajeev. That's first thing we have to try to separate. And that is very hard. I mean, every time I try to tell myself, no, this is not what it is bothering me. It's not bothering my soul, to try to not to think about it. Then talking about the karma, the influx and the bondage, that is because of the you know because of the delusions, and also because of the rag and dvesh, like you said, attachment and aversion. And it happens so many times. You see somebody, they say something, you try not to think that it should affect you, try not to get attached to it. I mean, it comes so many times. Like today I saw a couple of my friends, and something they said, and I tell myself, okay, don't worry, walk away, or don't say anything. So that is very hard day to day to do, but I'm learning. It's a learning process. So that's the only way you can, do the stoppage of influx and the bondage. And then again, now talking about the dissociation of the influx, I mean, and the bondage, that's going to take time. So I try to concentrate more, maybe try to read more. I mean, I wish I could spend more time and reading all this, that classes we're done. So I try to concentrate on that. That's the only way I think I can focus. I mean, yeah, it's going to take a long time, but I'm trying every day, try to think of those seven fundamentals every time it comes to my mind.
Great, great. Good idea. Next in the line is Arun, before I move to Soumya, and then last is Soumya, of course. He's the most knowledgeable among all of us.
That's for
So,
sure.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
Arun. Want to try? Just try.
Yes, sure, sir. So for me, sir, the main cause of binding of karma is delusion, right? So the aim is that we should always remember we are a soul, and we should prevent ourselves from binding karmas, whether that is auspicious or inauspicious. And that is basically happening because of delusion. And the cause of delusion is attachment and aversion, right? So what I personally feel, see, I mean, frankly speaking, I do not have the clarity, too much clarity of seven fundamentals. But then practically what I feel is every time, like, whenever any incident happens, we should always recall that we are a soul and we should prevent ourselves from binding karma, right? And if someone, like, misbehaves or says something to us, in that sense as well, we should always remind ourselves that the other person is also a soul, and these are the karmas which they are carrying forward, right? So I mean, I don't know these seven fundamentals very properly, But this is what my thought process is after going through this course, that we are a soul and our purpose is देखना और जानना. That is it. We should prevent ourselves from binding auspicious inauspicious karma, and all of that happens because of delusion, and the basic cause is attachment and aversion. Though I do accept that aversion is something which we can get rid of, but then attachment is something which is very hard to get rid of, correct? I mean, I cannot prevent myself from getting attached to my family, my kid, my spouse, and everyone, but I feel gradually with time maybe that will happen.
Good, good. Very creative. Why you are so hesitant in expressing it in the first place? Okay, no problem. So now, Soumya,
Yes, sir. So, why the correct understanding of seven fundamental is important? Because in the soul element, there is one line in Shadhala ji, मैं सुखी दुखी मैं रंग किराव मेरे धन ग्रह गोधन प्रभा. So, what was the incorrect understanding? So, we used to consider ourselves, we are considering as our soul also, but we are considering ourselves na, that I am happy, I'm a girl, I'm a boy, I am sad, these all things are mine only. So this was an incorrect understanding. So that we have to like clear it out in our mind that who am I? These all things are not mine. In the Ajiv Tattva, according to me, Jainism, only my soul Tattva is mine. Other than all the other soul tattvas, other jeevs also are not mine. That is Ajiv Tattva, correct understanding of Ajiv Tattva. What we used to consider in Ashrav and Ban, that whatever punya we are doing right now by doing good deeds, by doing going to temple ji and by doing puja and dan, all these things we used to bind auspicious karmas, but auspicious karmas also will not help us in liberation. So this was a myth that we carried out from the time immortal, and while we understand correctly what are true fundamentals, these all things, these all thoughts will get cleared out in our mind, and then we truly understand that whatever things, whatever karmas we bind along these years, these karmas never entered in my soul. These are totally separate, these are totally different from my soul, and these will not enter because पर्याय दृष्टि से मैं अशुद्ध हूं, but द्रव्य दृष्टि से मैं हमेशा शुद्ध हूं. So these understandings will get clear when we understand the correct like the true understanding of seven fundamentals. And then when we understand these fully, then we can accordingly, then we can think about liberation. And it's not like that we always think that it is our main purpose, liberation, our main purpose. Our like taking refuge in our own soul is our main purpose. Everything will fall in place. Like, we never think that I should get Samyak Darshan, I should get Samyak Darshan. If we are taking refuge in our soul, Samyak Darshan automatically will happen. So these things will get clear.
very nice, very nice. Great. Last, Soumya.
Yes, sir. Sir, the question was how the understanding of seven fundamentals will lead to Samyak Darshan. So we have various definitions of Samyak Darshan or right belief. One, the definition of right belief from the real point of view is experience of the soul is right belief. So how to get this experience of the soul? So for that, in Chhadara one line comes कि बिन जाने ते दोष गुणन को कैसे तजिए गहिए. If we don't know what is mine and if we don't know what is not mine, if this discriminative knowledge is not present, then I will not be able to experience myself because I don't know who I am. First, I have to understand who I am. So for understanding who I am, it is also equally mandatory to understand who I am not. So these seven fundamentals is basically a classification or a show of which is what is self and what is not self. So for out of these seven fundamentals, the first fundamental soul is the self, and rest six are non-self elements. So this, if we understand truly the nature of the seven fundamentals, we will also understand the limitations or the boundary where the self and the non-self are separated. After understanding them, we will be able to concentrate, we will be able to take refuge in the self, and that will lead to the experience of the self. And when that experience of the self happens, that is called Samyak Darshan or right belief. Therefore, understanding of the 7 fundamentals will lead to right belief. That's all. Thank you, sir.
Good, good. I'm very much inspired, and what could I say, that I'm having such a good kind of students who are so curious to understand, and you are really putting in right efforts. That's why the words come out like this, you know. But having said that, mostly commonly one factor that has emerged, that everyone knows, that it is the soul. We have to believe, who am I? And if I am the soul, then what is its function? Its function is to know and see. Beyond that, there is nothing that a soul can do, right? And if you accept this and remain up to that only, then you are a right believer. But if you believe that I can do this, I can change this, I can bring up children, I can do business, I can do job, I can bring money, I can cook, whatever, list is endless. The list of doership of ours is endless. And we have been doing this since time immemorial. Okay. So there is nothing new. But here, with the scriptures, with this knowledge, with this concept clarity that we have here in the scriptures, we can channelize our whole thinking, our whole knowledge to the 7 fundamentals only. And when we consider these 7 fundamentals, we have known the nature of 7 fundamentals. And beyond that, the next step would be what is worth adapting, what is worth renouncing, and what is, even if we are adapting, then also whether it is something that we should take shelter in, or something which is worth manifesting only, right? So samvar, nirjara, and moksha are worth manifesting only, and soul is worth taking shelter. So that way, both are adaptable, but the difference is that soul is worth taking shelter in, and samvar nijara is worth partial manifesting, and liberation is worth manifesting fully. Okay. So these are the difference. And non-soul elements are concerned, they are just only knowables. They are not worth adapting and not worth renouncing. Non-soul only knowing. And just by knowing also, that leads to passionlessness. Okay. So this is about the 7 fundamentals, and then Hegne Upadhyay that we discussed. Now the next step comes, that knowing the 7 fundamentals correctly, how it leads to Samyak Darshan. So before I get to that answer, I will answer 2 questions. One, Arun, you had said that attachments and aversions are the chief cause of delusion, right? So delusion is not because of attachment and aversion. Attachment and aversions, even the enlightened soul householder also had. Even the 5th stage Shravak also has. Even the 6th, 7th stage monk also have. Okay. But that does not stop their right belief, you know. So delusion is not because of attachment and delusion is because of your wrong belief. The oneness that you do with attachment and aversion, that is the chief cause, and that is called delusion. Okay. So this is one clarity. The other clarity is that what Roshni said, that 3 qualities are there. One is the belief, Shraddha. Then there is knowledge, Gyan. And then there is Charitra, that is the conduct, right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct. Okay. These 3 are called the gems, and this is the path of liberation. When you have the right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct. Now, these are 3 attributes only, and soul has got infinite attributes. Out of these infinite attributes, 99.99999% attributes are manifesting purely. Only there are 21 attributes, that is what I have gathered knowledge about, which are manifesting in a opposite manner. Okay. Because of delusion. And out of this 21, I'll get you the list. out of that 21, only 3 are important. That is right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct. Out of 3, 1 is only important, and that is right belief. So our whole effort is to change our belief from what we have gathered over years, not only this birth, but previous birth since time immortal. Whatever belief that we have developed in our system and what is wrong, that we need to eliminate, and what is the true nature of the soul that we need to inculcate. Okay. And that is how the right belief will manifest. Okay. So this is from the technical side, from the theory side, what we talk about, that 7 fundamentals. If you have clarity of 7 fundamentals, then you are able to discriminate. Okay. Discriminate between the soul and non-soul element, discriminate between the soul and influx element, discriminate between the soul and bondage element, discriminate between the soul and the stoppage element, dissociation of karma element, and then the liberation element. Even the liberation element and the soul are different. In what sense is it different? The soul only gets liberated. So, but the liberation element is different from soul element. If it would not have been different, then why 7 different fundamentals, right? Bondage, stoppage of bondage, dissociation of karma, and liberation. These 3 are the elements which only an enlightened soul has had. These 3 elements are present with a right believer only. Okay. So why do we say that we don't want to discriminate? Because all these 3 are modification element. Soul and non-soul. These only 2 are substance element. Okay. Out of 7, only 2 are substance elements. Other 5 are an extension of soul and non-soul. That's why we have bhavasrav, dravyasrav. Bhav bandh, dravya bandh. Bhav samvar, dravya samvar. Okay. So among these 2, one is from the soul side, other one is the manifestation of non-soul. Okay. So it goes like this. For soul and non-soul are 2 substance elements, and the other 5 are a part of soul and non-soul only. So they are modification elements. So samvar, nirjara, and moksha are all modification elements. And modification elements are a duration is 1 moment. And I am, who am I? I am Anadi Anant, eternal. Okay. And I have been there in existence since time immortal. There is no beginning of me. There is a beginning of everything, you know. But as a soul, I am there since eternal. No beginning, no end. Today I am there in this birth. Now this soul, when this birth comes to end, when this human life comes to end, soul is not going to die. Soul will continue its journey. Depending on the karmas that we have bound in this life, we will get a new body. Okay. So those who are doing great sins, many sins, they will end up in, say, hell or subhuman state. Those are doing good deeds, okay, they may end up in heaven or human. But all these are part of this universe only, this worldly only. We are not getting liberated by doing merits and demerits deeds. Okay. So the fundamental, again, question comes back to then, how do we get right belief from 7 fundamentals? So this is not again anywhere, this practical step that I'm going to discuss now. And that's why I asked question to know your ideas, and more or less all are correct. I never say that anyone has given a wrong answer, but we need to sharpen our knowledge to the extent that we grab that soul element and do oneness with that only. I am the soul. Okay. So that belief has to come, you know. So the belief comes only by practicing. Okay. So just 1 minute, my there is only 15% battery remaining. So I'll just connect it and come. 1 minute. Huh? So one thing is very sure. Yeah.
Sir, one question. So can there be Samyak Darshan without Samyak Charitra or the other way around, or both of them have to happen together?
See, all the attributes are manifesting every moment. Just now I was discussing that 99.99 attributes are manifesting purely only. There is never a other side to those attributes. But 21 attributes, that is what has come in the scriptures, those are manifesting wrong way. And out of that 3 and 3 out of that 1, right? Only the belief attributes, okay? Now, when the belief attributes change, all the other 20 attributes also change.
Okay.
99.9 are all manifesting pure. So there is no problem with that, Only these 21 attributes, and among these 20 attributes, one attribute is belief. If that changes, everything else change. So mithya gyan will turn to samyak gyan, wrong knowledge will convert to right knowledge, and wrong conduct will change to right conduct.
Right.
With
Okay,
belief.
got it.
Belief is the leader, and this belief is what the decision that we make, depends on our experience and whatever knowledge we have gathered. That is what is our belief. Okay, so you believe yourself to be a soul, or you believe yourself to be a body. So when we have not read the scriptures, we used to believe that I am the body. There was no other identity that we had in mind. Okay, just because we got in touch with this Dev Shastra Guru, true God, true scriptures, and true monk, we are indebted to them, that they are depicting us our true nature. Otherwise, how would we have known that I am a soul? I am Roshni only, right? So this is the transformation that we will undergo to have the right belief. So the right belief starts with soul element only, because we are soul. We have to believe I am the soul. So that is the right way. But having said that, only by knowing soul, the right belief will not manifest. We have to know correctly the non-soul also. And that's why the 7 fundamentals are the purposeful elements. You don't have knowledge of doctory, will do, no problem. You don't have knowledge of IT, will do, no problem. You don't have knowledge of commerce, will do, no problem. But the 7 fundamentals, you need to have a correct knowledge, correct understanding. And by knowing these fundamentals correctly, it's not that you will manifest right belief. Then there is some further process, and the process is in fact the discriminative knowledge that we have to practice, that these 7 fundamentals are all different. Nobody mixes with any other element. These are separate elements, and we have to know in our knowledge that these are separate. Okay, that is odd. Now, what would be the practical way? So it's not anywhere written. I have not read it, but I have gathered it with my own judgment and with all the scholars that I'm in touch with their experience, with their sharing. And this, I've got a hint from Moksh Marg Prakasak from 9th chapter, wherein Pandit Todamalji discussed this Hey Gney Upade, that after knowing the fundamentals, fundamentals, what you should do. So from that, I got this Hey Gney Upade, that we need to have a correct understanding of this 7 fundamentals in regards to Hey Gney Upade. So that was about the theory. Now coming on to the practical. Now when you understand the nature of soul, everywhere the Jinwani is depicting soul as an observer, as a knower and seer, nothing else, right? Not a doer. So the 4 pillars of delusion. What What are the 4 pillars of delusion? Ekatva buddhi, mamatva buddhi, kartutva buddhi, and bhoktutva buddhi. Ekatva buddhi is oneness. Okay. So oneness with other elements. Then mamatva buddhi. Mamatva buddhi is mindness. Okay. So all the, as Arun said, that I have attachment with my family, I have attachment with emotional. So that emotions will be there. But that attachment with that emotions is the problem, you know. So it is not that attachment will go away. Attachment will be there, but you can experience it that it is different from the soul element because it's an influx element. So influx element is different from the soul element. Okay. So, again, I'm just getting lost from your question only. So I was into that attributes. So these 3 attributes, they all manifest simultaneously. All the attributes manifest every moment. And these 3, right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct. Okay. So when your belief changes, the knowledge also assumes the position of a right knowledge, and conduct is also right. So all 3 will be there together, and all 3 put together is path of liberation. Okay. In Pravachan Sarji, they have given a logic that even if you manifest right belief, without right knowledge, the path of liberation will not be complete. But it doesn't happen. But they have given a counter logic that only if you have right belief and not right knowledge and right conduct, then also it will not happen. The path of liberation will not commence. And even if you have right knowledge but no right belief and no right conduct, and even if you have right conduct and no right belief and right knowledge, so all 3 should be together. Tino ki ekta. All 3 should be together to get into the path of liberation. So your answer ends here that all 3 manifest simultaneously, but the driver is the belief. So belief is correct. All attributes, other 20 attributes that were manifesting in the opposite way will come to the right way. Okay. So that is your over. Now I come to my answer. How practically? So after knowing what is Gne, what is He, what is Upade, we conclude to that the last week Somya answered it, that the soul is worth taking shelter in, the non-soul is worth knowing only, then influx and bondage are worth renouncing, and Samvar Nijara is worth partial manifesting, and liberation is worth fully manifesting. Okay, this was the conclusion that we arrived at. Now, practically, we are encountering now 4 fundamentals: soul, non-soul, influx, bondage. Samvar, Nirjara, and Moksha, stoppage, dissociation, and liberation will only rise when we do right belief. Okay. In fact, liberation is the last one. So that is still a long way to go. But unless and until you manifest right belief, Samvar doesn't rise. Okay. Samvar Nirjara is not there. So we are encountering only 4 elements. As an ignorant being, there are only 4 elements that you are encountering now. So out of these 4, soul and non-soul are 2 substance elements, and the other 2 are modification elements. So discrimination between soul and non-soul is very fundamental to discriminative knowledge, and that we can still understand that these 2 are different elements, right? Because we can see the non-soul elements like matter. So matter, we can make out that soul has a different entity and our body is different, but body is made out of matter and soul is the soul element. Body does not know, soul knows. Soul experiences happiness and sorrow, but non-soul elements does not experience happiness and sorrow. And with the practical knowledge that when a person dies, the body remains here. The eyes are there, the nose is there, everything is there, but the soul has gone. So we can still make out that soul and body are two different elements, okay, with different characteristics and different functions. Knowledge is only in the soul. No other element has knowledge, right? So that makes soul completely different from all other substances and elements. Now, we move on to the from soul. I am the soul. Everything is non-soul for me. And the sentiments of delusion, attachments, and aversion. Okay. These are what? Influx element. And because of this, we are binding karmas. Okay. Because of this, when there is a rise of influx, bondage will automatically happen. So our endeavor should be not to get into influx itself, not to manifest delusion, attachments, and aversion. This is our endeavor. Okay. Now, once this manifests, bondage will always be there. Okay. So we don't have anything directly that we can do in bondage. We have only asrav. We have only to encounter asrav. And when we take shelter in ourselves, the asrav does not arise. And that is the correct way. So when we will not get into asrav, for that we need to understand that asrav is a cause of sorrow and is a cause of bondage of sorrow. दुख रूप है और दुख का कारण है, right? दुख रूप है and दुख का कारण है. So when you know that you will get burned if you touch fire, you don't touch fire. Even a 3-year-old kid, if he experiences burn sensation from fire, he will not touch fire, right? Similarly, when we know that asrav and bondage are themselves sorrow and a cause of sorrow, we will definitely not like to indulge in that, right? So with this knowledge that these both are renouncing, when our active consciousness gets into this asrav, then with that knowledge that these are worth renouncing, it will not be able to, but it will automatically not get into those. Okay. So then active consciousness has to go somewhere. Again, non-soul elements are also not worth getting into because it is not a cause of sorrow or happiness for us. So then it has got only one place to go, and that is our soul element. And once our active consciousness gets into our soul, it mixes with the soul. अभेद हो जाता है. उपयोग जब आत्मा में जाता है तो आत्मा के साथ अभेद हो जाता है एंड आत्मानुभूति दशा प्रकट होती है. That is the time that self-realization happens. So our active consciousness, which was earlier involved in many 5 sensory pleasures and other kinds of passions, that with the strength of this knowledge of 7 fundamentals, with the knowledge that there is no happiness in any of the non-soul elements, and the soul is full of happiness, with this knowledge, right? The inclination moves from outside the sensory objects towards inside our soul. And when that inclination, when that transformation happens, the active consciousness, the upyog, it gets dissolved in the soul. And that is the time of self-realization. And once you realize yourself, somewhere stoppage emerges. Then with more practice, it becomes nirjara. Okay. And then one time will come that all the purities will be manifested and all the impurities will be wiped out. That is liberation. Okay. So this journey will be like practical journey will be there. With the knowledge of Heg Nei Upade, you can navigate your active consciousness throughout these 7 fundamentals. Okay. So this soul only in the modification. Okay. So in the soul, there are 3 things: substance, attributes, and modification. Substance attributes is one part because they are both unchangeable. Okay. Both are immortal since both are eternal and both are unchangeable. Okay, so this is what we have to make believe, that I am the substance, I am the sole substance, pure substance, and this modification keeps on changing. It has got different compositions like attachments, aversions, delusions, passions, whatnot. But in one word, if you want to say, it is all attachment. Okay, so with the practice, with the correct knowledge of 7 fundamentals, and with the clear-cut knowledge about what is worth adapting, what is worth renouncing, and what is worth knowing. Okay, the next step is the practical part. And with this correct knowledge and the decision that we make on the elements, this modification elements, the active consciousness will not go towards that. Okay, because it already says that we are a cause of sorrow, and cause of sorrow and itself sorrow. So that active consciousness will not get indulge in influx and bondage element, and then it has to get somewhere. So it will not go to non-soul elements, and it will go to soul elements, because it's a part of soul only. Our active consciousness is part of our soul only. Okay, it is devoid of karma's effect. This active consciousness, upyog, janna, every time knowledge, right? So that active consciousness is a knower only. Its function is to know only. But because of delusion, it indulges in influx, it indulges in bondage, and with the clear knowledge of the 7 fundamentals and He Gnei Upade, it will not indulge there. So it will automatically inbound, it will turn inbound, and it will get merged in the pure soul. And that is the time of self-realization. And at that time, there is no, you can say, divisions of what is Gyan, what is Gyata, what is Gine, what is Karta, what is Karm, what is Karan, what is perspective, what is comprehensive knowledge. No, nothing like that. Only experience. There is nothing else. That is called Nirvikalp Avastha. There is no vikalp at that point of time, when there is the time of self-realization. Okay, and that is how the journey of liberation begins. So when you meditate, when you sit for meditation, just think about the 7 fundamentals. Just think of He Gnei Upade, and with this correct understanding, this active consciousness will automatically come to the shelter of the soul, and that is the right way. Okay, so in terms of words, this is what we can express. Rest you have to experience yourself. There are no words for the experience. Sugar is sweet, banana is sweet, apple is sweet, but can you define the difference? No, but you can experience that this is the taste of apple, this is the taste of banana, and this is the taste of sugar. So you can experience, but you cannot put it in words, the experience, right? So similarly, there are limitations to words in terms of explaining right belief, and that's why it is never mentioned what is the practical way. You have to find your own way. This is my try. I have not got anywhere in the scriptures. Some hints are there in Moksha Prakasak Rasyapur Chitti by Todarmalji, and then some hints are there in Samaysar, verse number 144. There are also steps are given, and here also the steps are given, that when this person sits in meditation to experience himself, initially he gets thoughts on the soul, pure soul elements, that I am pure, I am liberated, I am mukta, shuddha, paripurna, and then all these kinds of thoughts goes on, and then the experience sets in, and the thought stops, and that is the time of self-realization. Okay, so whenever it will happen this way, And similar steps are given in verse number 144, Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev's commentary. You will find the steps, 5 steps. But we will take it up when we study that script. We have in this syllabus Karta Karma Adhikar, full Karta Karma Adhikar. So we will connect to that in the, I think, 9th sem. Okay. So you have to wait till then. But on a personal level, you can study those. And if you have questions regarding that, I can take it personally anytime. Okay, you can call me if you want to. If this concept interests you and you want to further investigate, then I have given you 2 references. Todar Malji's Rahasyapun Chitti. Okay, its English translation is there in our textbook. And the one Samay Sar, verse number 144. Apart from that, I found nothing which states about the process of self-realization. Okay. So this you can connect and you can investigate further. And if you have any questions on that, I will take it personally anytime on call. Okay, no problem. This is my subject. This is where I am doing research on, and I will try to make it more simple as I find more insight into it. But this is a subject for everyone to explore, and it is through our own efforts only we will able to realize it. Nothing can help us. No guru can help us. No scriptures can help us. Even the omniscient God cannot help us. It is our own effort and our own happiness and our own realization. Okay. So with that note, we end the discussion of the last class, what we studied, and still there is something left over here. 4 paragraphs are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs are left. Page number 30. Gia, you can share the text, page number 30. The question is not how much sentient force you possess at present. Okay. What is the strength of your knowledge attribute? It is not how much you have. But the real question is, if you can completely centralize it, are you ready to put everything that you have in terms of knowledge for only one object? And that is our soul. To understand our soul, to merge our active consciousness into our soul. Are you ready? That is the strength that is required to realize our own self. There are many things in this universe. There is many concepts in Jinvani. But having said that, the only purpose is to realize ourselves. Okay. And this chapter is one of the practical steps in that direction. And that is why we are discussing these things. So from here we begin. I am only reading it now so that we don't have to repeat it again and again. The question is not how much sentient force you possess at present. What is your correct level of knowledge? It's not important. The real question is if you can completely centralize it in what? On your own soul, right? So same thing is reflected in verse number 144. We have now Mati Shrut Gyan. Mati Gyan is sensory knowledge and Shrut Gyan is scriptural knowledge. These are the 2 knowledge that we have. We don't have Avdhi Gyan. We don't have Mana Paryay Gyan right now. And Keval Gyan also we don't have, right? So out of 5 kinds of knowledge, we have now Mati Shrut Gyan. And that is because of delusion is Kumati and Kusrut. And in this Kumati and Kusrut, we are starting this journey to understand our soul. And the moment it realizes itself, the same Kumati, Kusrut will become Sumati, Susrut. Okay. So the real question is, whatever Mati Gyan, Shrut Gyan we have, let it be Kumati and Kusrut, no problem. But are you ready to completely centralize it, completely focus it, completely remove it from whatever objects that you were knowing, to remove it from there, to transform it from there, and to turn it towards our soul? This is the challenge that we have, and that is what is being said here. The real question is, if you can completely centralize it. Centralize it means centralize it towards our soul. Okay. For such experience of the soul, the consciousness, the active consciousness, the upyog of a healthy being is sufficient. So whatever knowledge we have at this point of time is sufficient for us to get it into our soul. That is sufficient. We don't want to expand in terms of knowledge that हमको गोमट सार भी पता है and what Satkhandagam bhi हमने I have read Satkhandakam also. I have knowledge of Gomatsar also. I have knowledge of Samyak Gyan Chandrika also. I have got knowledge of all the 4 expositions. Nothing. Are you ready to completely centralize it? Okay. Whatever consciousness that we have is sufficient for us to realize ourselves. Okay. So we don't want to expand ourselves in terms of knowledge. But whatever knowledge we have to channelize it towards our soul. And the manifestation of right belief will happen. For such experience of the soul, for our own self-realization, the consciousness of a healthy being is sufficient. But the most important condition is the complete dedication to the soul, the complete channelization towards our soul, the complete centralization of our active consciousness towards our soul, without which such experience cannot be had. If we have arrived at the true decision, again true decision about purposeful fundamentals, we have known the correct nature of 7 fundamentals, and after that the conclusion of Heigne Upade, and then the practical way, okay, that we discussed just now. If you can do that, the largeness of smallness of non-purposeful external consciousness, okay, the external knowledge, right? If we arrived at the true decision about purposeful fundamentals, the largeness or smallness, hinadikta, of non-purposeful external consciousness does not matter at all. Only you have to know the pure soul, okay? So this external, bahya lakshi, gyan, kam hai ya jada hai, doesn't matter. Largeness or smallness of non-purposeful external. Non-purposeful means aprayojanbhut. Purposeful are the 7 fundamentals. Everything else is non-purposeful. Okay. So that doesn't matter at all. Adherence to the soul alone is very necessary. Now, what is this adherence? Adherence means faithfulness, dedication, loyalty, loyalty to the soul. Our active consciousness is part of our soul, pure soul. Now that active consciousness is indulging in sensual pleasures, in sensual objects and other things. Ye bhi jaan lu, ye bhi jaan lu, ye bhi jaan lu, it keeps on. Instagram and this internet and this Facebook, what not. You just see how much time you spend for knowing your soul and how much time you spend for knowing other things which are not going to help us in any way. Our career, our earnings, our business, our job, whatever you say, we spend so much time in those things, and it never leads us to self-realization. But knowing the 7 fundamentals leads us to self-realization. So adherence to the soul, the faithfulness to the soul, the loyalty to the soul, alone is very necessary. Not only necessary, but it is very necessary. On the other, if we go further, I can say that is the only condition required for self-realization, that adherence to the soul. Okay. However perverse this soul may become on account of its own shortcoming, it does not leave its nature. Oh, just nectar, amrit. It does not leave its nature. We have been to hell, we have been to subhuman state, we have been to whatnot. You mention any state of existence and we have been there innumerable times, because soul is from infinite times. It has got no beginning. And in this journey up till now, we have been to all the places, all the kind of emotions we had undergone, all kind of substances we have taken birth in. Nothing that we have not done is the correct knowledge of the soul. Okay. So, however perverse this soul may become on account of its own shortcoming, it does not leave its nature. Our nature of knowing and seeing, it does not get any way disturbed or destroyed. It always remains that. We don't leave our nature. Only you realize that your nature is like this. You are only a knower and seer. This is what we have to come to the decision, that our nature is just to know and see and nothing else. Everything else we have adapted because of delusion, right? So whatever we have adapted, we remove those things. And what is our true nature? We come to that true nature and accept it and own it. And that is what the self-realization is all about. That is what right belief is all about. It does not leave its nature, but so long as this soul does not cut itself wholly from the non-self worldly elements, does not cut itself wholly from the, in the present context, what would you say, suggest, Jia? Does not cut itself wholly from the Instagram, from the Facebook, from the YouTube, from the WhatsApp, which is killing our time, does not cut itself wholly from the non-self. By saying non-self, it has included everything, non-self worldly elements, and adheres to its permanent nature alone. What is our permanent nature, Jia?
To know and to see.
Yes, to know it. Yes. So now whatever come, let the influx come, let the bondage come, I will know. Even if my next birth is in hell, I am not at all disturbed. I am not at all worried. Why? Because there also I will know self. I will know only, no? I will know and see, nothing else. There are right believers right now in hell, There are right believers in all the four states of existence right now. Okay. So it is our self-realization does not stop because of our birth in all the four state existence. Our self-realization is just not happening because we don't have the correct knowledge of the seven fundamentals. That's all. So adherence to its permanent nature alone, real soul experience cannot be accomplished. So if it does not cut itself wholly from the non-self worldly elements and adheres to its permanent nature alone, real soul experience cannot be accomplished. Clear? No questions? Anything coming to your mind, just ask it right now. I don't mind spending 2 hours after this. No problem. Okay, I think all of you are good. External paraphernalia. I'm not able to pronounce. Let me see. Yesterday, I thought I will be checking Google. I know the answer from the Hindi text, that external bahya sadhano, bahya objects, external objects. They want to say here is external objects, but they have used these words. External paraphernalia.
Paraphernalia.
Huh?
Paraphernalia.
That is what does it mean? The external
So,
objects.
yeah, so as in when you say the extras of life, paraphernalia includes all the frills, the, stuff that you don't really need.
Right. So in Hindi it is written bahya sadhano. Okay. So external objects. Okay. Whatever, as we just discussed, that what our time is being consumed of what? All the external things only, no? How much time we spend for our own soul? How much time we shoot? How much time we sit and read Jinwani for our betterment, for our development of our soul, right? All the time we are indulged in all external things only. So this external paraphernalia is not at all needed for purposes of soul experience. This is not required. Just as we have not to spend money for getting our own things, in the same manner, outside mass of matter or possessions, whether you have 1 crore in your bank account or 100 crores, what does it matter? We are going to eat same 2 chapatis only, same things only, nothing else, right? So it's a pity that this human being spend most of his time after earning only. Everyone is in the that rat race of becoming the super wealthy, like Ambani and Adani and all. But what is going to come with us? So we need to have the minimum things required for our survival. That much we need. But beyond that, it's all useless waste of time, and our life in this birth is limited. So we should spend more time on Jinwani to know our soul, and it's very clearly mentioned in terms of words. What is soul? What is its functions? The practical way is that you have to derive yourself. It's not mentioned in any of the scriptures, because Acharya knew that everyone's journey is different. So everyone has get into this research of 7 fundamentals. And once you are researching, you will develop your own way of knowing the soul. It is not same for everyone, but you have to discover it. This is the journey that you have to undergo. So just as we have not to spend money for getting our own things, in the same manner, outside mass of matter or possession are not at all necessary for spiritual achievement. Spiritual achievement means self-realization. For the experience is to be had in the soul, by the soul, and for the soul itself. So for the experience is to be had in the soul. Okay, so experience will happen in the soul only, by the soul only. Who will do it? By the soul. No external things will come and help us. No karmas are stopping us from our self-realization. No external substance are stopping us for our self-realization. Nothing can come between us. Between us means 2 things. One is the soul. What is the other thing, Jia? If you explore, you will get the right answer.
Sir,
Last
can
week
you
also I
repeat the
gave you an
question?
example of submarine. Can you connect from that?
Can you repeat the question?
What is stopping us from our self-realization? No karmas are stopping us. No external objects are stopping us. So what is between the soul and the other thing? That is, you have to find what we have. What is required for self-realization? We want to experience our own soul. Okay. So soul is the one party. What is the other party? It is not the karma. It is not the external substances. What is else? What else is between the soul and fill in the blanks? Open for all now.
Active consciousness.
Very good. Active consciousness. Active consciousness is the only representative that we have in this modification. Everything else is related to karmas, right? But active consciousness is the representative of the soul in the present modification, and it is outbound. Because of delusion, it knows that happiness comes from money, happiness comes from power, happiness comes from being famous, happiness comes from external objects, sensual pleasures, and that's why our active consciousness is indulged in all these activities. Now that active consciousness, you have to mend it to get it into your soul. You have to transform it from its present engagement in sensual pleasures, and you have to mend it and bend it towards our soul. Okay, and that is the time you will realize yourself. So this much you have to do. Get our active consciousness from outside world to inside into our soul, and that is the stage of self-realization. So now the syllabus is further reduced. Okay, earlier we have so much of Jinwani to read, but now there is nothing. And this will only be, this active consciousness will come towards soul automatically with the power that I am the soul. I am the soul. Just as we have not, no, that is done. Okay, now this, yeah, again I want to repeat this. Just as we have not to spend for getting our own things, in the same manner outside mass of matter or possessions are not at all necessary for spiritual achievement. That's why our monk leaves everything. Not a single piece of cloth he keeps on his body. He said, I don't require anything for my own happiness. Only the active consciousness. So the more the possession, more the involvement of active consciousness in those subjects. Now Ambani wants to do right belief, he will not be able to do, because he has got the responsibility of so many employees, so many businesses, and one day he's here and other day he's in Hong Kong and the third day is in US. There's so much. There is a whole team after his journey, whole team of employees, and he doesn't have time for this Jinwani, read Jinwani, right? But we are so fortunate that our active consciousness does not go beyond certain things which are necessaries. And the moment we time find, we come back to this Jinwani and understand the nature of the soul. So the more time you spend with this Jinwani, the more understanding of your soul, more clarity. Sometimes we learn from this angle, sometimes we learn from different angles, but our object is to know our soul only. Okay, so this spiritual achievement for the experience is to be had in the soul, by the soul, and for the soul itself. Now, in the soul, okay, no problem. By the soul. Now, by the soul means by the active consciousness. Okay. And for the soul itself. For the soul itself is the pure soul that we are. Okay. So it is our own benefit that we take our active consciousness from outside world to our soul, towards our soul. And if we are able to do this, we are able to channelize our whole energy, strength, whatever power we have, and we completely channelize that into our taking this active consciousness from outside world towards our soul. This will happen because this experience is to be had in the soul, by the present modification, and for the soul itself. So we are only going to realize this, we are going to realize our own happiness, the happiness that was there in the soul, that is only going to come into the modification. Okay, now it is locked. And where is the key of that tijori? What we call tijori in English?
Locker.
Locker. Vault, right. So that happiness is there in the vault. That vault is the soul itself. So happiness, so the soul is full of happiness. But in terms of realization, we are not spending anything. Why? Because everything is locked up and we don't have the key. And right belief is the key. Okay. So the moment you have the right belief, that is the key, you apply it, and you take out all the happiness from the soul. And that is the time you realize it. Okay. So such a anticlimax that we are the possessor of happiness quality attributes. The happiness is not there in any of the sensual pleasures, and we are spending our time, the whole time, in those sensual pleasures only. And we feel that we will become happy one day. But whereas happiness lies within, and we have to take our active consciousness within to realize ourselves. And if we realize ourselves, the eternal bliss, we will experience the eternal bliss that has been locked up in the soul since time immortal. And this is the key. Right belief is the key. Okay. So it is to be had in the soul, by the soul, and for the soul itself. So who is going to benefit if we do these efforts, right efforts? This is only the right effort. And if we do these efforts, who is going to be benefited? We will only be benefited. So externally, there may be inflictions on you. There may be people harming you, but internally you will be at peace. You know that they are also soul. Just I am a soul. Similarly, they are also soul. And it is because of my past karma that they are inflicting pain on me. They are not the doer of that activity, because they are also pure soul, just as I am pure soul, you know. And the same moment, you will not develop a feeling of anger or any kind of passions on them, and you will just deviate your active consciousness towards your soul, and the happiness will flow in. Self-realization. And this is how the monk do it. And this is how the omniscience knowledge also manifest in this way only. You have to just get absorbed in your soul. There's nothing else worth doing. Okay. Why should then we need any non-self entity? No need, nothing. We don't need karmas, we don't need any possessions, nothing. For our own happiness, we need our just active consciousness to get into, to take shelter into our soul. Why should then we need any soul, any non-self entity? The presence of the non-self is the spiritual. The presence of the non-self in the spiritual experience is not conducive. Sadhak nahi hai, not conducive to it, but a great obstruction. So this is the time that you realize that you want to be on your own space. You don't need anyone for your happiness. Okay. The presence of the non-self in the spiritual experience is not conducive, is not helping you any way, is not conducive to it, but a great obstruction. In the period of such experience, the moment that you experience this, any thoughts of the non-self only destroys the equilibrium of our being. Okay, any thought of the non-self, in fact, any thought of the soul also is a cause of distractions in the experience. So before the experience, the thoughts of the soul are there. But the time you realize yourself, the thoughts are also not there, of your soul also. Leave alone about non-self. Non-self is so far. Even the thoughts on ourself, on our soul also, are a cause of hindrance to the experience. Okay? It destroys the equilibrium of our being. Equilibrium in Hindi, it is called ek rasta, because we want to realize, no? So at that point of realization, you don't want any thoughts. The moment you use rasgulla, it is the taste that is important for you, not the composition, that rasgulla consists of milk, rasgulla consists of sugar, rasgulla consists of mawa, rasgulla consists of ilaichi, nothing. Only the taste that matters. You don't think on those lines when you are consuming that rasgulla, sweet. Okay? In the period of such experience, any thought of the non-self only destroys the equilibrium of our being. In Granth Chhadala, in the 6th chapter, the last chapter, there are 10 things mentioned then that when the soul sits into meditation and realizes himself, Swarup Acharan Charitra, Chhadala mein, 6th छठी डाल में स्वरूप आचरण चारित्र के समय क्या क्या होता है. They mentioned 10 things that when you are realizing yourself, these things doesn't come. Even praman and nai, the tools for self-realization, are also not there. Okay. प्रमाण नहीं, निक्षेप नहीं होते हैं, कर्ता कर्म करण नहीं होता है, ज्ञाता ज्ञान ज्ञेय का भेद नहीं होता है, ध्याता ध्यान ध्येय का भेद नहीं होता है. All these are distractions. There is only pure experience. Okay. So these all destroys the equilibrium of our being. And what is this equilibrium? What is this balance? This balance is just becoming a knower. No attachments, no aversions. Whatever is reflecting in our knowledge screen, let it reflect. It does not disturb us in any way if you remain a observer, knower and seer. But if you go beyond that, you join with those emotions, and then there is an influx and bondage. And that is how the journey goes on and on. But if you are able to practice discriminative knowledge and be on your own, engross yourself in your own soul, then this manifestations of influx does not emerge only, does not evolve only. This is the way how you destroy it. And this is the way the monks have destroyed. Even if we are there since time immortal, our backlog of karma is there since time immortal. Still, when we realize ourselves, you know, and the spiritual journey, the path of liberation begins, only within 1-2 birth, you will get liberated. There is no place for us in this universe. You know, we will get into liberation. Okay. So the path of liberation is very short. Our journey since time immortal is very big, infinite. There is no beginning. Okay. But the moment you realize yourself, the moment you identify yourself, the moment you know what you are, everything becomes very easy. And within 2 births, 4 births max, 15 births max. But in this time is not conducive to religion. We are in the 5th era. There is no Tirthankar now. There is no, in fact, technically monk is there, but we are not aware of any Bhavlingi Sant right now. Okay. And in these times also, we can realize ourselves. And if we are able to realize ourselves, the journey is very short. You can get liberated in the next birth itself. From here, you will take a birth in Mahavidya Chakra. There is a Tirthankar there, always there, and you will get liberated in that birth. So it could be that short. But if it is a very long also, then maximum is 15 births. And in terms of time, it is Earth Pudgal Paravartan. Now this Earth Pudgal Paravartan is also a very long period, but compared to our journey since time infinite, this is very small. Okay. But having said that, from 4th to 14th stage of spiritual development, 4th Gunasthan to 14th Gunasthan, the journey is there. But as a soul, we have no liability, no responsibility on our head. We are just to enjoy. Everything is happening automatically. Automatically things are happening. We are just an observer and we remain an observer. Okay. It is therefore definite that the pursuer restless to obtain support from others gets more restless. Oh, it is therefore definite that the pursuer, that the seeker, okay, like people like us, becomes restless to obtain support from others. There is no support required. We are all self-sufficient. Okay. So restless to obtain support from others gets more restless. Okay. So if you feel that with this support I can do this, with this support I can do this, then you will get more restless. Here it says that you don't require any support from outside. It is just your active consciousness that matters. You just empower it with this knowledge of scriptures, with this knowledge of nature of things, with this knowledge of the soul, and it will turn inbound automatically, and self-realization will happen. Your journey to path of liberation will begin, and it will soon end, and you will get liberated. How do you feel? You got a, what you call, jackpot? Or still
Yes.
you have some doubts?
No, certainly jackpot.
Hmm. Okay. So, very nice words written here. It is therefore definite that the pursuer, restless to obtain support from others, gets more restless. He can never achieve this. He can never achieve his object. Okay. Therefore, those who are engaged in the pursuit of self-realization should not feel restless for the cooperation of others. बच्चा ठीक हो जाए तो ठीक है, हस्बैंड ठीक हो जाए तो ठीक है, वाइफ ठीक हो जाए तो ठीक है, बिजनेस ठीक हो जाए तो ठीक है. We have endless list of our excuses. No excuse. Should not feel restless for the cooperation of others. In spite if other cooperates, if does not cooperate, even if all the karma comes, there is nothing that they can do to me. This much of confidence you have to develop. If all our past karmas, okay, come together and attack me, then also they will not be able to disturb me in any way. Correct or not correct?
Correct, sir.
Correct. Okay, good. So you are all there with me. He can never achieve it. Therefore, those who are engaged in the pursuit of self-realization should not feel restless for the cooperation of others. Okay, 10:30. So still I have 20 minutes. Okay, good. What is the process? Now the question is, what is the process of eliminating auspicious and inauspicious manifestation, merits and demerits? Okay. What is the process of eliminating auspicious and inauspicious manifestation? And what is the internal and external state of the pursuer on the path of spiritual realization without caring for any external prop? Prop means shelter. Okay. Any help, external help. These are big questions in themselves. Separate treatment of these is desirable. So the author has ended this chapter on this note by asking you two questions. And I feel now you will be able to answer all those two questions. We need not need the help of author to write those answer to those two questions, but you will all answer this. I'm again repeating the question. What is the process of eliminating auspicious and inauspicious manifestation? Auspicious is Subhav, inauspicious is Ashubhav. So when we say Subhav, going to the temple, what Somya just mentioned in his thoughts, what she was going under through. So whatever we do in terms of auspicious sentiments are the activities that we go to temple, we go do puja, we do swadhyay, we do dan, all the auspicious activities. Now that needs to get eliminated. So what is the process of eliminating auspicious and inauspicious? Inauspicious is the Ashubh bhav that we indulge in the sensual pleasures, we indulge in the passions that we manifest, and all the wrongful activity, okay, which is an part and parcel of our day-to-day life. There are some things that we are not able to avoid, in spite of our feeling to avoid those things, we are not able to avoid. There are some level of sorrows, some level of sins that we indulge in our day-to-day life, which as a householder you cannot. Now for cooking food, you have to lit the stove, so that is a one sense being. Fire is one sense being. but there are certain things that you cannot avoid in this stage. Okay, but monk does not indulge in those activities. Okay, so since we are householder, we have to do some activities where you are committing a sin, where you are doing some violence, right? But these are something that you don't want, that you cannot avoid at this stage. Okay, so what is the process of eliminating auspicious and inauspicious manifestations? So I gave you example of auspicious also and inauspicious manifestations. And what is the next question? What is the internal and external state of the pursuer on the path of the spiritual realization without caring for any external prop? Hemali.
So the answer is right belief and discriminative knowledge, I
Oh.
feel.
So that is the answer for which question? First or second?
So eliminating auspicious and inauspicious manifestation.
Okay. And what is the answer for the second question?
What is the internal and external state of the pursuer on the path of spiritual realization without
Our own stage. each of us stage. We are all pursuer of the path of liberation, so we need not define it. But here the question is like a person on the fourth stage, what would be the internal and external? A person on the fifth stage of spiritual development, what would be his internal and external? And what would a monk do in the sixth and seventh stage? This is what the question is about. So believe that the first part, what is the process of eliminating auspicious and inauspicious manifestation, that you have answered very correctly. If anyone else want to add to what Hemali said, you are all welcome. So no other answer. So all are agreeing with Hemali and I am also agreeing with her. She has said the correct answer. So to eliminate auspicious and inauspicious manifestation, if you extend it, I will say to eliminate all the passions that we are manifesting every moment, there is only one way. You realize yourself, engross in yourself, and this kind of emotions will not rise only in the modification. That is the only way. Okay. So self-realization and practice of discriminative knowledge, absolutely correct words. There cannot be anything else than this, and I don't want to challenge that words also. It's totally correct. So these are big questions in themselves. Separate treatment of these is desirable. So a chapter has to end somewhere. So author has ended this chapter with these two questions, and he knew it that one who is a seeker, we will find answer on his own, and that is our homework. Okay, so our homework and today's chapters takeaway are both same. We have to realize ourselves and practice discriminative knowledge. It will take a while, but nevertheless it will happen. Okay, so this is all. If there is any questions, any doubts in your mind, then you can ask. Otherwise we will move on to the next chapter, at least the introduction part. You will see of Kunkunda Acharya Dev.
Sir, what stage does Samyak Darshan happen? Is it sixth or seventh or?
Fourth. It starts from fourth.
Okay.
So even if I become a monk, but if I have not realized myself, then I am still in the first stage. And then there are monks who are in the fourth stage also. They are called Dravyalingi Muni. There are monks who are in the fifth stage. They are also Dravyalingi Muni. And those who are at the sixth and seventh stage, they are Bhavlingi. Sixth and seventh and above, all are Bhavlingi Muniraj. Bhavlingi Muniraj means those who have reduced that level of passions. So in the fourth, the Anantanubandhi Kashai, okay, it goes off. In the fifth, Apratyakhana Varana Kashai goes off. In the sixth, seventh, the third level, Pratyakhana Varana Kashai goes off. then the monk is having only Sanjvalan Kashai. Okay. And that also goes off when he attains 12th stage. Okay. So this is how the passions will go away. But the big journey begins with right belief, Samyak Darshan. So our all effort should be directed to manifest this right belief and not to reduce passions. Okay. There is no way you can reduce passion. But the moment you realize yourself, the first quadruplet of passions goes off. Anantanubandhi goes off automatically. So our effort will be towards eliminating delusion, and the result would be right belief and getting rid of intense Anantanubandhi passions. Anantanubandhi passions. Okay. Then with further practice of descriptive knowledge, the fifth stage will come. That is the time the second level of passions will also go off. And then we will become monk, and the third level will go off. And then we will completely wipe out all the passions and realize complete detachment, complete passionlessness state. That is the 12th stage. And then 13th, we will become omniscient, and then we will get liberated. This is our journey. This is the journey of each and every seeker.
Sir, I have one question to ask. When helping others, it's a reflex action without anything in mind.
Yes, yes.
Then that also leads to bondage.
Yes.
But that is a reflex action, no, sir?
Whatever it might be, whether
We
you
have
are
nothing in mind.
whether you are doing it intentionally or intentionally. In Hindi, we call it, we have very good words, buddhi purvak or abuddhi purvak. Buddhi purvak, which is what we can comprehend. Okay, buddhi purvak rag is जो हमें जानने में आता है, and there is infinite abuddhi purvak rag, which is beyond our knowledge, which is beyond our present knowledge, but it is still there.
Reflex. Is that reflex?
Yes, that is reflex. That is reflex. So
But that,
the stage you are in,
yeah.
that level of passion will always be there. Okay. So
Okay.
don't worry about the passions. Let it be there. It doesn't disturb our journey, our spiritual journey. Okay. So
But बंद तो हो रहा है ना सर?
हाँ?
बंद तो हो रहा है ना?
Let it, no. Even Aryant is even when you are in the 12th stage, the bondage is still there. And even I think in the Aryant stage, so Aryant stage, the bondage is not there because we have completely wiped out the passions. So up to 10th stage, the bondage is still there. Okay. The monk is in the 6th, 7th stage, 8th stage, still bondage is there, 9th stage of bondage is there, 10th stage, the bondage ends. And the 12th stage, first moment, you are completely detached soul. Okay.
Yes, sir. But
don't worry about the bondage. Worry about the delusion. Worry about the wrong belief. Just turn your belief right. Everything is automatic. You are just an owner of that enterprise. You are not doer of that enterprise. Okay.
वो इसीलिए तो रिफ्लेक्स हो रहा है ना सर?
Reflex,
I am not the doer.
You become an observer of reflex, no? Whatever has to reflect on your knowledge screen will come. If there is an unwanted thought coming up, let it come. Enjoy it. That I am not the doer. That should be your call at that point of time.
हाँ, ये इसीलिए तो रिफ्लेक्स हो रहा है ना सर? क्योंकि बिना
let it reflect, no? Let it reflect. So long
फिर तो बंद हो गया
you
ना
are
सर?
not becoming doer, you are not disturbed.
हाँ, so it is not reflex. If it is a reflex, it is not thinking that I am doing, because वो reflex से आया है.
हाँ, तो let it come.
हाँ, तो यही है जैसे कि the very thought of the Pandavas, the two Pandavas, कि what state my brothers are in. Now that they are in that state, what are my brothers into?
Right.
So that is because of attachment. लेकिन जब अपन reflex है,
yes,
रिफ्लेक्स
attachment.
ओनली वी आर डूइंग, तब
Right.
क्यों बंद होता है? मैंने बंद कैसे हो सकता है?
तो होने दो
क्योंकि
ना, मैं बोलता हूँ कि बंद होगा तो खत्म भी तो हो जाएगा।
कैसे
बंद
होगा जब अपन बंद करते ही जा रहे हैं रिफ्लेक्स
वो
के?
वो बंद कौन से लेवल का हो रहा है?
अच्छा, उच्च उच्च लेवल का
बहुत
नहीं?
स्मॉल, वेरी स्मॉल बॉन्डेज, उसके सामने
हाँ
निर्जरा कैसे हो
हाँ,
रही है?
निर्जरा भी हो रही है साथ में।
हाँ, mix from 4th to 12th, it's a mixed stage. So something is dissociation of bondage is also happening, and few of the bondage is also happening. The amount of there is one chapter here, the last no, not in this, I think we read only Mukti Ka Marg in Tattvagyan 1, we had this chapter that the जितना राग है उतना बंद है, जितनी वीतरागता है उतना संवर निर्जरा है. Very simple.
अच्छा, ओके,
Rag and
so we can
vitrag
continue
going
doing.
simultaneously. Attachment and non-attachment going on simultaneously from the 4th to 12th stage. 12th stage is the stage where there is complete detachment. And the 4th stage is, the first stage is where is completely attachment. Okay. So when you realize yourself, that is the 4th stage, when you enter, there will be mixture of attachment and non-attachment. Okay. सो द
अच्छा,
जितनी वितरागता है उससे तो संवर निर्जरा है, जितना राग है उससे बंद है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. भूमिका
अच्छा,
अनुसार राग होता है. द स्टेज दैट वी आर इन,
हाँ,
according to that stage, bondage will always happen. Okay, that you cannot avoid.
अच्छा,
So don't worry about that. Don't worry about the bondage. Even we have bounded karma since time immortal. But the moment we realize ourselves, our spiritual journey is only of 1-2 birth. Doesn't matter.
हाँ,
Never
अच्छा,
worry about the karmas that you have bound. Never
हाँ,
never worries about the karma that you are binding right now, and never worries about the karma that you will bind in future. No worries of karma. These are matter substances. It does not affect our spiritual journey in any way.
ओके,
You
ठीक
will
है.
only get disturbed only when you feel that you want to get disturbed. Otherwise, there are no external force that can deprive you of your experience of eternal bliss. If you choose to get disturbed, you will get disturbed. But if you don't choose, you have a choice. Okay? You have a choice with you, whether you want to enjoy yourself or whether you want to manifest those passions. You have a choice. Now, what you choose, that will be your destiny. So the ball is in our court. It is not that we are under the influence of some karma and we have been hijacked by that karma, king of karma, Monia karma, and he will dictate us and he will guide us. We cannot do without his permission. Nothing like that. You are totally independent right now.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. So if it is reflex, it is not a very big band. That I understand.
No, nothing.
Okay.
पूर्वक बहुत कुछ होता रहता है. We don't get disturbed by those because we never know it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, for
Anything
this,
else?
Kumar Prakash Pandit ji gives two examples. That जैसे राइट फेथ हो गया, सम्यक दर्शन हो गया, तो कार अगर जा रही है, कार उस समय अगर हमें रॉन्ग डायरेक्शन में जा रहे हैं और हमें उस मोमेंट पता चल जाता है that we are moving in the wrong direction, then even if you apply the brakes, still the car will move in the same direction for some time. After only that amount of time, you can take a U-turn and come back. Similarly, for example of fan, he gives that you can switch off the button. Even if you switch off the button, the fan does not stop at that moment. It will rotate for some time and then it will come to a stop finally. So these fluctuations, dispositions will go on.
Right. So Charitra Moh is like that. Conduct
Yes.
deluding karma is like that. It does not
Yes,
go
yes.
in one stroke. But belief goes in one stroke.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Belief goes in one stroke, but that Charitra karma.
Charitra takes time.
Yes, sir.
But once our belief is good, once our belief is right, we are not worried because then we don't become a doer of those things. No. From
Right,
4th
right.
stage to 14th stage, spiritual journey is there. We will become monk, but we are not doer of it. So how does it matter to us?
Right, right.
जो है उसको एंजॉय करो, जो नहीं है उसको छोड़ दो, वो अपने आप हो जाएगा सब.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyone else? We still have 2 minutes. We started 5 minutes late, 5, 6 minutes late. So we still have 2, 3 minutes. So last question. No last question. Okay. So all good. Just revise this chapter again. And just
But I'm not sure if it makes sense.
pardon, Jia, what?
But I'm not sure if it makes sense. So the question was, how does your soul know that you've reached Samyak Darshan? Like, does it go under any changes like when you reach that
Yes,
stage?
yes. Good question. Very good question. How do you know? So as I said, key words, there are no words to explain the experience. Okay, it doesn't come in words. It is the test that you are feeling, that you are enjoying. Okay, one thing is this. The second one, that we get an example, that is Dr. Bharilji gave one of his lecture, that when a lady gets pregnant, okay, she gets this gut feeling that she is pregnant. Now there are no words for that, but the experience that she shares, she believes that she has conceived. The test will be done after 1 month, when she doesn't get into period. But before that, she has this gut feeling that she has conceived, right? So similarly, in this self-realization, you will also always, you will yourself know that you have realized yourself. And that is the eternal bliss. In terms of checking what you have, the eternal bliss, the experience of the eternal bliss. Now we have all realized the sensual bliss, sensual happiness we all have experienced. And what is the difference between this eternal bliss and sensual bliss? Atindriya Anand and Indriya Anand. So Indriya Anand is with akulta, with anxiety, and Atindriya Anand is Nirakulta, perturbed and unperturbed.
Mm.
Okay, so that is the only difference. But whoever realizes himself, he or she knows. So don't worry about that. This is the confidence that comes from inside. Now my one more question, counter question to you. Even if you don't realize yourself, okay, if there is no Samyak Darshan, then still you are a soul.
Mm.
You are soul. By default, you are soul. Whether you believe you are to yourself to be a soul or not, that is immaterial. But even if you don't believe, you are still a soul. So you accept that, no? That is, you are ready to accept, no? So just accept. Acceptance of this is self-realization. Because this self-realization is a quality of belief. So the belief will change. It is not that something bomb will come and some sound will come, nothing like that. Very normal. Only the belief changes. Earlier you were believing to be Jia, and now you believe that you are a soul, you are an observer. Let the emotions come. I am an observer, no problem. Let somebody abuse me, I am an observer. That abuse does not touch me, because I am the soul, I am not the body. He is abusing the body, right? So all kinds of emotions, whatever has to come will come, but I am not the doer of that. I am only an observer of that. And when I remain an observer, there is no problem. There is eternal bliss. Okay. So this is the feeling. The feeling that you will have is your own experience. That cannot come in words. Okay. Let alone self-realization, but you are in the right path. That your inside feeling will tell you that, yeah, I am in the right path. Because we all have done some explorations in terms of getting into a right path, and when we read these scriptures, these words create a magic in us, and this is the time that we realize that we are on the right path, and our experience keeps on growing. What we were 1 year ago, what we are now, you can see the change in yourself. You don't have to ask anybody. You have to see the change in yourself. So everything is self-test. There is no authority, no teacher that will take your exam of your spiritual journey. You are alone in that spiritual journey, and you are alone to judge yourself. Nobody else can know what thoughts you are undergoing now. Okay, what kind of abhipray, understanding you have. Okay, but there are some milestones that we get on the way to know that we are on the right path, and that in confidence keeps on increasing, and with that confidence only you can become nishank. Nishank, what would be in English? Now I will, no doubts.
No,
Okay, no shanka. I am the soul myself.
example, just know, as you mentioned, milestone, you'll come to know. तो
Yes.
क्या मेरे को नहीं समझ में, what is the example? Can you give me an example, sir?
Like when you are going through a highway now, you are on a junction and there are 3 ways going on. Now you want to go to, say, Delhi. So one road is going to Delhi, then another road is going to Chennai, another road is going to, say, Kolkata. Now what you will do? You have to just follow the milestone, no? Nowadays we have Googles, but those times there was no Google. So they all depended on the milestone, the arrow that on the highway. And that's how they traveled. So these milestones are
सोल के परिप्रेक्ष्य में ये माइलस्टोन कैसे मालूम पड़ेगा? As you said, ना, it's regarding the soul.
आपको मजा आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? आपके कशाई कम हो रही कि नहीं हो रही है? आपको उत्साह बढ़ रहा कि नहीं बढ़ रहा? कि आपको बोरिंग लग रहा है?
हाँ, ये पढ़ाई वो ठीक.
हाँ,
अच्छा, ठीक ठीक.
पढ़ाई कैसी पढ़ाई है कि आपको मुक्त कर देगी, लिबरेटेड.
Right.
Liberated with these studies.
Hmm.
You're not going to get any degrees after 5 years, but you are going to get is happiness. Happiness. Always, always. ALWAYS, always. And always, ALLWAYS.
In always. Right. ठीक है. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. Your interest propels me to go further deep into the scriptures. And so I am also indebted to all of you.
So we are
Thank
more
you.
indebted to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a give and take relationship, mutual beneficial relationship, and I really agree with that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है. We are all indebted to Jinwani.
Right.